Hey, welcome to 23 Degrees Coyote in the Highlands. This is take 2 of the Access video. I keep running into problems talking about this. And a lot of it is because I keep defending against the arguments that when people talk about property, there's a lot of negatives. There's a lot of don't do it unless you get this. Don't do it unless you get this. Don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. There's a lot of can'ts and don'ts. And sometimes you just need to do. And the most important thing is going to be access to the property. Whether you use it for weekend camping or start building on it or have it a combination of both or just move on to it permanently, access is king. We don't have a well yet. With a little luck, some budget help and stuff, we might get there in about a year. Otherwise, it might take 2 years. We will get a well. There is water here. But water hauling isn't that big a deal. We go through 30-ish gallons a week for 2 people. And yeah, we do bathe and yeah, we do have laundry. There's some really efficient ways to handle that stuff. And there's a little bit of cheat because if we do go towards town, there's one truck stop nearby that has these really fancy showers where you get 2 shower heads and spray wands and stuff. And it's $7, but once in a while you gotta go do it. It's like a spa day, right? Spa day for the mountain man. So mostly 30 gallons a week, and we could sustain that forever. That's we've got a 550-gallon water tank that I picked up recently. And so if that's medium full, at any given moment, if I don't let it get too low, we've got a couple months of water, minimum, maybe 3 months of water, just from that. Plus there's some other storage. There's a couple other things that we have for storage. And I'm working on the hot tub. And, that's another 300 gallons that just sort of stays around. It's not necessarily the water you want to drink, but if there's an emergency, it's water, right? So for end of the world purposes, I'm not really that worried because if we get past a couple months, we're probably not staying alone up here. There are communities. You need community if that kind of thing happens. I'm getting off topic, but again, that's the argument about the water is an endless one. You don't need to focus on that above all else. And it depends on your environment. Some places get more rain. We do have a monsoon season, and if I get a 2,000, 3,000 gallon cistern figured out somewhere around here, we'll be okay. I can collect that in monsoon season various ways. I'm going to try a driven point well. This is one for the channel. Hopefully I can get a little help with actually getting the parts together. Down in the wash, we have a flood wash out on the property. And I'm going to go ahead and try to do something with that just to see if I get seasonal water flow or something out of it. I want to see how it works. What our high water table is in monsoon season. So access is the big thing. We've been through a couple really big storms, spring storms, a couple inches of rain at a time, washing out the roads, but it's not that bad. The most we've had so far is not wanting to leave for one day just to let things settle down. But none of the roads have washed out to the point where I can't get in and out of the property. Access is what you need. Access is the key to doing other life stuff. Getting materials up and down the mountain, getting your construction materials, getting food, getting social stuff. There is stuff you need to do, Going off to be the lone hermit in the woods sounds like a great idea. There's this Catholic monk dude who does this like up in the Alps and stuff, and he's got his whole thing. And he goes and does lectures and flies around the world and stuff. He's not alone all the time. So, even his hermitage is not quite as solo as you might think. So, access. If you have access, it doesn't matter whether you're looking at 1 acre or 80 acres or something in between. Most of us are probably going to be looking at 1 to 5, 1 to 10. acres, that's fine. You can build, you can be totally happy on 1 acre. You just have to be able to get on and off the property. You have to be able to do stuff. You have to have access. And then, of course, it depends on your situation and what your plans are and what your goals are and how far do you want to be away. We are 1 hour from a gas station on a paved road, which is, on a highway. We have to go down to the highway. That's a lot. We're way out here. We're further out than most people usually manage. And it's a struggle at times to just handle that drive. You can't just go get a cup of coffee because the weather sucks and you want to sit in a place with a chair and be like around people. It's a long drive. So you have to consider that. Consider how you're going to really deal with that. And, it depends on what you're going to use the property for also. Like, is it going to be weekend camping? Is it weekend camping and you're putting some secure storage on there in case you want to stay longer or the world ends or whatever? Is it a process where you're working on getting a remote job, laptop class, whatever it is, and you're building out? I have a friend who's got that. He's in one of the northern tier states, and he's way out there, even further out than I am. But he's also making $180,000 a year, and it's a different world for him. If he wants to upgrade his solar, and it's like a $10,000 price tag, he doesn't think about it. He doesn't have to consider the cost the way most of us do. But again, as long as his drive it's a drive he can make in a car. He has access to the property, and that's the key thing. Access is what's going to make or break you. So there's always a no. There's always a reason not to do something, not to break the cycle, not to think outside the box, not to buy the homestead, not to buy the escape property. And what I want to suggest is that all of the reasons not to are pretty bogus, okay? You can haul water. You don't have to have the perfect building materials. You don't have to have this tree or that tree on the property. You don't necessarily have to... If your goal is to be a full-time farmer, then you need farmland. But most of the properties that are out here in the West, Desert Southwest, Mountain West, you can grow stuff on if you're intelligent and you put the effort in. So it's not like you can't have anything. And if you're looking at rural property in Tennessee or West Virginia, just like whatever, just put up a tin shed and some water barrels and never worry about it ever again. You don't have to dig a well. But access is going to be the thing that gets you to the point where you can do stuff. And if you want to be a full-time farmer, you really need farmland. If that is your life goal. But that might not be... That might be a goal that you think you have that you don't really have. I don't know how many of you have put the time in to actually do that. I've done the orchard and the pigs and the goats and the sheep and the cows and the row crops and the truck garden and the irrigated fields, and I'm not sure. I'm not sure people who say they have that goal really have that goal. Permaculture is a different story. There's a lot going on where you work with the land, and you can work with the land out here in the desert just fine. The deserts are much more green than you think, especially once you get the natural cycle back. We'll talk about that later. So access is key. All of the no's. Don't do it because you can't have a well. Don't do it because you don't have this. Don't do it because you don't have that. None of that matters. Even if you can't dig a septic at this point, every state has something in the code for a composting toilet. If you care about the code at all, which is, again, I'm not going to say anything one way or the other. I haven't had the septic SWAT team raid me, but I guess that's a possibility. Access is really what you need. You need to be able to get on and off, and you really want to be able to do it without so much effort that you can't haul material. So if you can't get to your property with a two-wheel drive truck, maybe that's a situation where you want to look at something else, but maybe not. You know, if there's materials that you can use on site, that's different, you know. I don't have any way to get long poles or beams off of my property. Like, I don't have a way to harvest them on the property. And so I need to be able to carry 12-foot, 16-foot lumber at times. That's just, there's no way to get around that. It might be steel beams or pipe or something instead of lumber. That's fine. I hate fires anyway. But I have to be able to carry some pretty long stuff, and it's really hard to do with a CJ, you know, a Jeep CJ. But if you've got a Jeep access property and you don't need to pull huge amounts of material in and out because you can harvest on site, that's access. That's what you need. It's all about access. So that's the key thing, and that's really what 11 minutes of video is one sentence. Access is the key thing if you're looking for an escape property. You just need to be able to get there and get back. That's step one. Okay? Everything else on the property is fixable. So stay sideways. That's about all I got.